welcome to episode 10 of This Valorant Life. Join Adam and myself this week as we get into looking back at 2023, what we're proud of and what we've learned, and looking ahead to 2024, what we're excited about, our wish list, and the things that we want to do. Before we get into it, I want to do a quick plug. If you're listening to this podcast, you're clearly into Valorant, but you're also into self-improvement. If you're looking to achieve your goals in 2024, then you should consider some life coaching. My wife, Queenie, is just getting into it and she has some open spots. She'd love to be able to connect with you for a complimentary free session. If you want to learn more about that or get in contact with her, I've put her email in the description below. And with that, let's get into it. Welcome to this Valorant Life episode number 10. This is the last episode for the year. Adam and I are super excited to get into it. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about looking back at 2023 and looking forward to 2024. So, Adam, for 2023, and this is maybe more of a personal episode as well, what was one obstacle that you overcame in your life?
Man, 2023 has been crazy. This is the year
We only met in 2023.
Right, it's
Isn't that
crazy.
kind of crazy? It feels like I've known you for a couple years now or something.
I agree. I don't know, like 2023 was very compact for me. I transitioned from a part-time working to full-time content creation and coaching, and obviously transition away from just not taking things as seriously and then doing that. So I guess for me, the biggest obstacle was that transition. Going from, working at a startup and then that kind of falling through and then like, oh, this is like an opportunity for me to go into coaching a little bit more. And I think that transition was difficult initially just because it felt really overwhelming. Like I had all these expectations on myself and like I had to do X, Y, and Z. And working with you, it was like the perfect time, I think, was like
Mhm.
being nicer with myself, giving myself more grace, like coming from like all of the negative emotions that fueled me to get to where I was and like
Mhm.
changing and like pivoting that to a more positive outlook. I think to me that was like the biggest thing
Mhm.
for me in 2023 was just being nicer to myself, understanding that like being a self creator or like an entrepreneur or a YouTuber, anything of that sort, which like relies on you, you are the business. You kind of respect yourself as a person first. And I didn't do that. I definitely did not do that. I was very harsh on myself coming from a competition and not really making it to where I wanted to earlier and not letting that kind of bleed over into this side of things. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing for me is just being
Yeah,
nicer to
well, I
myself.
mean, that's super cool. I'm so glad we met at the time that we did. And I can just see like your personal growth, like in terms of how you think about your work, how you think about yourself. And I think and I'm sure, have you seen it, the changes you've made in your life? Have you felt it impact your work with both the VOD reviews, but also with the clients you work with one on one?
100%. I think before I almost overemphasize it, like I was too emotionally attached to like outcomes
Mm.
or maybe the monetary side of things, like
Hmm.
very short-term thinking and like
Hmm.
in a way, it just didn't feel that fulfilling. But, like,
Hmm.
once I take care of myself, not only am I able to then apply some of the things I learned to maybe
Hmm.
give perspective on other people's situations, which has been useful, but, like, I'm more invested in their growth as a person because I can see it in a more objective, but also, like, I've been in their shoes type of situation. So, it's been a really good transition, and it feels really good to be doing what I do, like, I'm really
Hmm.
grateful every time. I always look forward to the work week, like, I'm like,
Hmm.
"Oh, the weekend." My girlfriend took it a different way when I said, "Ah, it's the weekend," because 'cause I'm so excited to work and do what I do, and it's not really I enjoy my time with her very much, and we spend time together after work and on the weekends especially, but I think it's just so maybe powerful to me that 5 out of 7 days of the week is doesn't feel enough. So, yeah, I love what I do, and I think taking care of myself has been a main factor of that.
think for me, the biggest obstacle is actually like starting this podcast, honestly, in the sense that like you've been a content creator for a while. You're on Twitch stream, you stream Twitch daily and the YouTube stuff. But this was like my first foray into like putting my face on anything.
And so I remember feeling, I don't know, it felt like stepping out of your house and then suddenly there's like a spotlight on you. And I was like, oh man, this feels like really big. Put anything out in the world, it feels like there's a Simpsons episode when they're like, they're all gonna laugh at you. And like I think it was Nelson. They're like, huh. And then everyone does it, right? And I
Mm.
think you expect that to happen. And of course it doesn't. Because literally no one, most everyone I know would not even notice, right? Everyone in your circles don't notice. So I think for me, like actually stepping into doing something that was deeply uncomfortable, which is like putting myself out there, was the biggest obstacle. And I think what I've seen in my life is that consistently doing that like over and over, because I think I've done it in a bunch of different areas in my life this year, it's been like really beneficial. Like I think I've really grown like a ton as a person because I keep stepping out of my comfort zone. I saw this quote which was like, you'll never grow if you only do what you're qualified to do. Like fundamentally have to do things you're like unqualified to do, like you haven't done before, in order to grow as a person, like personally and professionally. What is one thing you learned about yourself?
That one's a hard one. I feel like I've learned so much. Maybe the biggest one is I feel like I know who I am as a person now.
Mm,
Like, I know working with you, we've aligned some of those core values. And just even 2 years ago, like when I was 21 and I was lost, I didn't really know who I was. I was just a gamer. I was fueled by emotions, competition, ego, all of this stuff. But like none of that really, like I could say was like a core value of mine, right? Like competition might be the closest, but I think that's the biggest thing is like authenticity is a really big thing for me. And just trying to be as transparent, as honest as I can is something that I hold to a really high expectation for myself, and I don't
mhm,
think I really thought about that in earlier years.
mm,
So,
mm.
yeah, I think that's what I would say. Yeah.
What do you think your younger self, imagine yourself as you were trying to go pro?
Right.
If he were to look at you now, what do you think he would think? Would he
Uh,
be surprised? Would he be excited? Would he be happy?
I think surprised and happy. I think surprised in the sense that um it that didn't really feel real to like, see that transition and to see the progress. If I think about it 2 years ago, it's insane. Like physically, I'm much healthier. Mentally, I feel much more happy and grateful, and there's like way more positive thoughts. Whereas before, it must be nice to be XYZ. I feel
Oh,
like I
yeah,
said
yeah,
that
yeah.
phrase like all the time.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think definitely very proud. Kind of, I don't want to say, but like maybe he would cringe just because it's so different. But yeah, maybe a little bit of cringe in there.
A little bit of cringe is good. I
That's
mean,
good though, I think.
a little bit of dad jokes is good.
Yeah.
Lean into it. I actually, so I asked you this question. I don't even know what is something I learned about. I think I learned that I'm actually like really good at difficult conversations with people. You know? Like I think in those situations where people would kind of run away, like high conflict, like I'm actually pretty good at edging them and helping people not actually come through them broken, but actually come through them kind of healed. I think we often think of conflict, let's say arguments, we often think of them as like really bad, right? But they're only really bad because we're really bad at them. Imagine you went to a gym and you just, for anyone who's squatted before, like putting a like a barbell on your back is like scary, right? But imagine you just didn't put a barbell on your back. You put 4 plates on either side. You put like 500 pounds on there. If you put that barbell on your back, like you're not only gonna lift, like you probably won't lift it off, but if you did, you probably hurt yourself, right? Like you're gonna hurt yourself. And I think for most people, I think that's what like conflict I've realized is like you're not good at it, you're not used to it, and so you run away and then it turns into hurt. But actually, like anytime we actually have conflict, we have the opportunity to turn it into a closer connection if we can stay in that spot. And so I think that was
Why do you think you're good at those conversations? Because I think having difficult conversations is a key marker of like, changing your life around and
Mhm.
improving your life. And not a lot of people want to take those difficult conversations because obviously it's uncomfortable. And I could see it just from being in my shoes, just thinking about my life. If I was maybe more upfront with my parents, for example, saying like how maybe I don't want to go to college, or
Mhm.
maybe if like I got there, I was able to explain where I was coming from with gaming and kind of get their support, maybe it could have been different. And yeah, why do you feel like you are good at those difficult conversations?
Let's say there's a difference. I think I'm okay at them when I'm in them. And I would say it's really having clarity on what your values are, right? Like, I think your values are the things that you want to hold on to. And so I think it, obviously difficult conversations are generally going to be like quite, but you can stay in them when you are really standing in your values, right? I think you just said a big thing for you is authenticity, right? You can have it's really empowering to be able to have a difficult conversation by standing in your value of authenticity. I'm going to hold on to it. That's the reason I'm doing this, as opposed to just like forcing yourself to do it. I think I think the difficult conversations with other people when I can just be there and supporting people, I think I'm good at it because I can just stand beside and I can hold that space. Because I think that the natural thing is to run away because it's so new. It's so unnatural. Like it feels like it's not safe. And I think like I can help create some comfort in that space that people can stay there. It's kind of if you didn't know how to swim the moment you jump in the water, like it's terrifying, right? But
Hmm.
once you know how to swim, it feels comfortable, right? And so I think once you've been through it enough, maybe that's part of it too. Once you've seen it enough and you've done the reps, it feels a lot more comfortable than people who aren't there very often.
I like that.
What are you most proud of this year?
Maybe I've already alluded to it. But I think really, I think the most thing, or the biggest thing I'm proud of is making that transition to a healthier lifestyle. I think for those of maybe people don't know, I moved from my previous house to a new apartment, and that environmental change has been really big for me. The apartment's really nice. I'm really grateful to be here. It's kind of pricey, but I think it's worth it. And like when I
Mhm,
think back on it, it's like I would not trade the money that I would save for a worse environment. I think it's
mhm,
just so nice, and I think because like I'm prioritizing all of those things, like all those good things, I'm really proud of that. The space I'm in, the workflow I'm in, the routine, like everything that I do on a day to day feels good.
mhm.
Aside from losing Valorant ranked games, of course, but even then, I think I can pick myself up the next day, or even once I click and stream, it doesn't have that much overflow. So yeah. I think my routine's
I
good.
think for me to avoid repeating myself, what I'm most proud of is I do this work with families. I get to advise families, and then I get to do this other work, which is like coaching people. And I think it's been really like both life giving for me, and I think life giving for the people I've been able to coach. Like it's been really cool to see people grow and to see people see who they could be, and like grow into that. Like I think that's been so. I think I've always wanted to do that in my career. That's I think why I've always leaned into mentoring people, even in my old career. But to be able to do it really explicitly with people, where they're giving me permission to do that, and I have permission, like it's been really nice. It's actually just such a privilege to help people in that way and to be empowered to help people. So that's been like super cool for me.
Do you feel like when you work with someone, you can see like their future self, like you see the potential in them? Or is it you see like maybe some characteristics and then you can pull them out of it? What do you see?
It's interesting. Like part of being a good coach is like so in my school of coaching, one of the cornerstones you stand in is that you want to evoke transformation, which kind of the word evoke kind of creates like two things. One is like you want to create it like with them, their transformation, but also it means that you have to hold the space for that transformation, right? It's I don't know. Can't think of a Pokemon. Okay, so Squirtle evolves into Blastoise, right?
I think
But
so.
he can evolve into Blastoise if he's like in a tiny box. So like part of being a coach is like creating the space for them, like holding that space for them so they can grow into, right?
Mm.
And so I think when I work with people, they like looking at and holding the space for who they can become. And I would say, like, I always see potential for people. I always see who they could be. I always see someone who could get their great dream job. I see you one day having your gaming, wholesome gaming empire. Like, I can see it. And I think um, as a coach, it's really cool because I think I get to really hold that vision for people, um, even when they can't see it. And it actually means because I believe in them so much, I don't challenge them. I get to challenge them not from a place of you're not good enough or you're disappointing me. I actually get to challenge them from you need to see what I see, or you need to continue to believe because I believe. So I think that is like a really cool, awesome thing I get to do.
You want to try to maybe somehow challenge our viewers for 2024? Coming from the gaming space, I think maybe a lot of people have similar veins in difficulties or problems, at least I know coming from myself as a gamer.
I think like a bunch of things. Like I would challenge people to um I think you're doing your part in terms of the content you're doing. I would challenge people to be kinder to themselves. I think there is this feeling in gaming culture of, oh, that's so cringe, like that you would try that hard. And so there's this kind of like inherent power, it feels like, in feeling like superior to other people. And I think it's this kind of fake power, right? Because you actually don't gain very much by doing that. Like cynicism is something that looks really powerful and intelligent, but it's really just sad, right? If you live your life 30 years down the road and you're a complete cynic, yeah, cool. You haven't done anything. You've looked down your nose at other people, but like it sucks. Crappy existence. So I think it would be to be kinder to yourself, be kinder to other people. And I think if you do that, you will enjoy yourself a lot more. I think you'll enjoy being around people another more. And then the second one would be to like not be afraid to dream hard dreams. If you are excited about something, go after it, make that happen. Like obviously there are financial parts to all of this, so you have to be thoughtful around what that looks like. But I saw this quote and it was like some people are dead at 25 and they don't get buried until they're 75.
That's scary.
And I think you can see it, right? You can get caught in a hamster wheel of doing something you never wanted to do, and suddenly you blink and you are at the end of your life. And I think Dr. K in some of his stuff that I've watched, like Healthy Gamer, he's like, the only time you have is like right now. That's the only thing you have. Like your past can't change. Your future, you're not there yet. You just have like right now. And so like right now, what do you want to dream for yourself? Where do you want to go? Like, I think as you look to 2024, I think people should think about that for themselves because we underestimate what we can, or we overestimate what we can do in 6 months, but we underestimate what we can do in 5 years. If you have a really big dream, you can commit 5 years to it. You can go do it. Like when I watch all the YouTube stuff, when people are talking about like how to get better at YouTube, they're like, commit 2 years. And then most people are like, but how do I do it fast? And they're like, yeah, that's just, that's how. And I think we love watching it in animes when they have their like training arc, but everyone's like, yeah, like Goku's training in like the gravity chamber, right? But the same thing is true for you, right? Like I think for everyone, you have to be willing to put in your training arc. You have to be willing to live the training arc of your time skip. And if you're not willing to do that, like then you probably can't do anything special, right?
Yeah, there's these videos. I don't know why they keep popping up, but I've been enjoying them. It's like this idea of monk mode. People have probably heard of it, but essentially you just like disappear for a certain time period, like 3 months, 6 months, a year, and just focus on like certain things and know your goals specifically. And I think what you said with the transformation piece, like when you have something that you're working towards, all the little process fall into place. For example, if I were to like prescribe or recommend someone to meditate, I don't think they're going to do it. But like, if it's because they want to be a certain version of themselves, then I think they will
Mhm.
do it. Yeah, just hopefully um, more people will do something like that in 2024. I think I could even go through a version of this myself. Maybe, 1 to 3 months, just focus in and just grind it out. I think to me that's the most exciting part about the journey is just the grinding part.
And you can see actually when you just look back, like how far you've come. I think for 2023, part of it is both Adam and I wanted to just express like gratefulness to everyone who's watched our stuff. Like all the comments have been so positive and encouraging, and I'm so thankful that people watch this and enjoy hearing us talk about random stuff. I wanted to say from like myself, and I'll let you talk after. Just like thank you so much for being a part of this and supporting us.
Yeah, I think when we started this podcast, we had things that we wanted to maybe tackle and making that community. I think this is just literally step one. Like, we haven't really been there that long, and it already feels like we're slowly making a difference. I get people that come in my stream. I've watched all of your podcast episodes. Thank you so much. Or like people will reach out to me via DMs and just be like, "Oh, this was a good episode." And it's just like those few comments that it feels really nice. And I think we're in a good direction. And I'm glad that people are enjoying it. And to be honest, it's more viewers than I thought we would get like at this stage. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. And I'm glad you guys enjoy it.
What surprised you about podcasting?
I think the big one with podcasting is the time just goes by. Like I mean, we've been here, it's like over a little over 20 minutes. I mean, it's very easy. I think having a co-host and yourself it makes the process a lot quicker and a lot more seamless. I think if I was doing it alone, I would probably freak out and it would be a lot shorter. Yeah, I think that's the biggest surprise. It's very quick. It's very easy. It's very natural.
Yeah. I'm surprised. I mean, I'm surprised at how much goes into it. I think like you think people I was watching this video, Jay Klaus is another creator, and he was talking about how podcasting is the content creation for lazy people that are cool. If you're like, I don't know, who's a cool person. I don't know if you're like a celebrity and you just want to make content, you just podcast because people are going to listen to you because you're cool. And so I thought like you just show up and it'd be easy, right? And I think like parts of it are easy. Like I think our conversations are really easy and like quite fun. But it's like there's a lot of stuff after that you have to do, which I totally didn't realize,
Mm.
which seems completely reasonable. But this is, I think, everything in life. You get into anything, and from the outside, things look pretty simple, but usually, like almost by definition, they're not, right? Like I was like, how do I do timestamp? I don't even know how to do it. So I think you just have to like you have to learn all these things that are natural and normal, but you can't learn it until you do it. So I think that was surprising for me.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I don't see that side of stuff. Yeah.
Looking forward to 2024. So we just have a bunch of topics. Like and actually, if you want to DM me on Discord or Adam, or even email us at thisvalorantlife@gmail.com, please do. But these are the things we're looking forward to in 2024. What are you most excited to, like in terms of episode or format or whatever, for 2024?
I would definitely like to talk to some guests. I think we've covered a lot just between the two of us, and I think we could keep going, but I'm curious to see like other people in the space. So like just pick other people's brains. I think this is like a really nice space for it. Just having conversations with other creators, like literally earlier this week, I think it's so useful. And spreading that knowledge online, I think would be really, really exciting.
So who's on your wish list? Who would you want to come on?
Some big names, but I've always watched DDK. I would love to have
Yeah.
him. He's
I
great.
mean, he would really class up our podcast with the accent, just full stop.
True.
So having that classy British accent, boom, we are so much more respected and cooler than we are.
That's true. And then two content creators that I'm familiar with. I think I'd be interested in talking to Wahoojin in a more formal setting, kind of just getting his thought
As a
process on things.
banana?
Probably as a banana.
Okay.
You got to
Okay.
keep with the theme.
Gotta
And
keep the
then
theme, yeah.
recently I talked to Zycoma, reconnected with him. He's a Fortnite creator actually,
Mhm.
but it's very strange and eerie almost. We were Fortnite duos, or sorry, I was part of his trio or squad, like both. When I quit and moved on to Valorant, kind of went in parallel sequences, like with the competitive stuff and then the content
Mhm.
creation and the coaching. It's like
Mm.
it's very scary. And for a short while, our YouTube count was like very much similar, which his last 4 videos have absolutely blown off. So congrats to him. But I would love to talk to him. I think
Cool.
you would as well. He has really good
Yeah.
energy. Yeah, just really want to talk to some guests on the show. I think it'd be
Cool.
great.
It'd be cool to have maybe some of your like old teammates on the podcast. Maybe they can roast you with some of old Adam bad habits kind of stuff, or
Yeah.
Adam's most annoying in-game things as a teammate. It'd be pretty fun. But it would be cool to just talk about that or other people that scene that you'd want to bring on.
Yeah, Bubba comes to mind. He's
Yeah.
still in the scene. He's still competing, and he's definitely one of my closer friends in the scene. We'll have to get him on for sure.
Also, like for the people that have been in the scene a while, like it feels like we did would be like an interesting person to talk to. Someone who's
Yes.
like seen things. I think
Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
I think so. I think we did Silent X comes to mind. I always
Oh
pronounce
yeah,
his
yeah,
name
yeah.
Silent X. But yeah, he
Do you
comes to
pronounce the
mind.
X or is it silent?
I think he pronounces it Silinx, like,
Okay.
but I could be wrong. I
Okay.
get it wrong
Okay.
every time, I'll be honest. But yeah.
Okay. It'd also be cool to have some people from like the performance coaching
Oh,
space.
yes.
I was actually just talking to Caleb yesterday, and I was like, oh, it'd be cool to have Ryan on. Who Ryan at one point last year was I think the in-house performance coach for 100T. It'd be cool to have him on and just talk about the things he does with his teams and performance coaching and the psychology of it. That'd be I think it'd be pretty cool to talk.
Yeah, I like that.
And then we'll learn like this one weird trick to make all of your teammates like.
Yeah, hopefully.
Okay. I'd be excited for a mailbag episode. Like it'd be cool if people can write in. You can ask personal questions. I mean, we will decide whether we answer them, but like personal questions or Valorant questions, that'd be kind of cool. Be fun. Like just in a spitball, like a remix episode like that.
Yeah, we could probably come up with we can make a YouTube community post somewhere or
Hmm.
collect it, or maybe even just get
Hmm.
it from emails. I don't know what would be
Hmm.
easiest, but I think that'd be fun.
And then I think actually, if people have suggestions for things that we should cover, or a particular like topic we should cover or a concept, I think that'd be super cool if people want to throw that out because I think I'd be super interested in diving in. I think this is like a real cool format for me to be able to take a question and just like really pick your brain on it and then help both other people obviously understand more, but even for you to actually put words to things that you probably have not necessarily put words to before. Because I think for a lot of high level players, because I think, you are naturally a high level player and then you've had to work to get into like high radiant, right? But I think there's probably a lot of stuff that comes very naturally to you that it's actually hard to put into words in terms of concepts and explaining to other people, kind of like natural.
Yeah, I literally stumbled across this earlier this morning with peeking. It's so weird, but I was watching this guy's clip and I was like, why does this peeking look so weird? It was just like off-putting. I literally put in the notes. I don't know why, but it's weird. And then he went back and he was like, "Okay, I don't know why it's weird either. Can you like take a closer look?" I was like, okay, I compared it to my deathmatch and then I
Yeah.
put it to like side by side. I was like, the gun model swings differently, because like this is gonna sound so weird, but when you strafe and then you stop, your gun model also stops. But then what he was doing was he was like chaining peaks together before his movement completed. So his gun model just kept going to the right. I was like, that's probably why it looks so weird.
Yeah.
So to me, that's very intuitive. It's like stop after your swing. It's just not as intuitive as it seems.
This reminds me, have you ever gone for hot pot before? No
Yes.
hot pot. It's like, okay, so I've been going to hot pot since like I was a kid. And I took some people from my old work that were not Chinese or not Asian, you can guess. And then because I wanted to introduce them to hot pot, right? So I took them to hot pot and they were like, everyone was pretty excited. I was pretty excited. I love hot pot, right? And if you've never had hot pot before, it's like a steaming bowl of soup. You dip like uncooked food in it, you take it out and you dip it in sauce. The sauce is super salty and awesome, and you can put whatever you want. I took people to hot pot. I kind of explained, like it's pretty straightforward, right? Just put the food in and then you eat it when it's cooked. And then they started cooking. In my head, I was like, they're doing everything wrong, but I don't know why. What is so wrong with this? And that's when I realized there's these like unwritten rules of hot pot that I'd actually never verbalized before. Number one, there are foods that you take care of. If you eat beef, you gotta take care of the beef because it cooks pretty fast, and no one wants to eat like beef jerky, right? So you put it in, you like move it around a little bit, and then you pull it out. And whether it's like medium or medium rare, that's up to you, right? But they kept throwing it in and just like leaving it like forever, and I was like appalled. Okay, rule number 2 is there are foods that you do just throw in and leave. Who cares? Meatballs, whatever, mushrooms, they can just be in there forever if you really want. But I didn't actually had never put these words I did verbalize these concepts until like I saw them do it and I was like, this is so wrong. And then the third unspoken rule or the third unspoken concept of Hotpot is like veggies go last because then it soaks up like all of the flavor of the soup and the things you've been cooking. But they threw it in first. And I'm like, no, don't throw it in first. It just reminds me of that when you were talking about like verbalizing these things that you've never been able to verbalize because it comes pretty.
I like that. I had a recent experience of having Korean barbecue and hot pot for the
Yeah.
first time, and I was very much overwhelmed. So I can relate to almost all the
Okay.
things you said.
Okay. And I think maybe the last thing we were talking about that would be super exciting, and don't know if you have any other ideas, Adam, was like doing some more like mixed media, going into Valorant, doing like a deep dive on a map, either defense or offense, and maybe for like a certain role, like just talking through it. That'd be super cool. Like
Yeah.
I think that'd be like super interesting for me to be like asking you questions from the point of view of someone who's like not very good at the game.
Yeah, I think that would be sick. I think the Valorant side of things is always nice to have the visual thing. And then, of course, we could definitely break down some pro games, maybe along
That'd
with
be
it.
cool.
Just, it could even be together. It was like, why is this guy doing this thing here? And then
Mm.
bring it up on Valorant. So I could definitely see that being useful. Um, and maybe any good pro team, I could see it. Sentinels, they always play something weird.
Sentinels, who else plays weird comps?
PRX, they are Lorena on Ascent. Those guys are
Oh, or
freaks.
which team is Angel on? Angel,
Navi, I
F,
think.
Navi, yeah.
Yeah,
Navi always praise like
they
crazy
do.
comps.
They do.
So it'd be cool to analyze them. This is the last episode of the year. We'll be aiming to put out content weekly on the podcast for next year as well. But 2023 is coming to a close. This is episode 10.
Perfect.
10. I did
Perfect.
2. I don't know why I did 2. 10. So that means we just hit like single digit or double digits. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
So pretty excited about that. I got nothing else. So I want to say thank you to everyone for watching this episode. And I'm wishing everyone a really Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Love that.